So today we're going to walk through a really powerful love story, one that goes from what feels like a perfect fairy tale beginning to a really shattering end, and then to a new chapter that no one saw coming. This is Melissa's story, a journey through intense heartbreak to an incredible, unexpected second chance. Just think about that line for a second. It captures so much pain, right? The devastating end of a marriage in just a few words. But how did it get to this point? Well, to really get it, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning. All right, so let's set the scene. For Melissa, her love story, man, it didn't just start, it exploded. It felt like one of those perfect, meant-to-be movie kind of things. So picture this. Melissa's 24, she's at a friend's party, and in walks Callum. He's 13 years older, and right from that very first conversation, boom, it was just this instant electric connection. She was completely captivated. And it wasn't just that he was tall and smart, you know? It was deeper than that. Callum had this way of making her feel like the most important person in the world. They talked for hours and hours, and he was always telling her how beautiful she was. I mean, can you blame her? She felt like she'd hit the jackpot, like she was the luckiest woman alive. And things moved fast, like really fast. One night they're in a park, and bam, Callum's down on one knee, asking her to marry him. For Melissa, this was it, the absolute peak of happiness. And just 2 months later, they were married. They were all in, ready to start there forever. But you know how it goes sometimes? That perfect, shiny fairy tale? It started to tarnish. The connection that felt so rock solid began to crack. Slowly at first, and then, well, it felt like it all fell apart at once. It didn't happen overnight. It was this slow fade. It all started with his job. Callum just started working longer and longer hours, coming home totally wiped out. And those amazing, long talks that define their relationship, they just stopped, replaced by this heavy, heavy silence. Think about it. They're living under the same roof, but they might as well have been on different planets. I mean, the difference was just night and day. The guy who used to hang on her every word now offered only silence. The affection, gone. Replaced with, I'm tired. Every time she tried to get close, to reconnect, it was like hitting a brick wall. And that's the real heart of the pain, isn't it? That feeling of being totally, completely alone while you're sharing a home and a bed with someone. The man she'd married was gone, and in his place was a total stranger. So all this distance, this crushing loneliness, it was all building up to one single moment. A single, awful moment that was about to flip Melissa's entire world upside down. Okay, so here's the scene. One night, Callum gets home super late. He won't even look at her. His face is just grim. And as he sits down, Melissa gets this cold feeling in the pit of her stomach. You know that feeling? She just knew something was terribly wrong. And then he just says it. 4 words that completely shattered her world. In that single moment, everything just stopped. The love she had built her entire life on was gone. Just dismissed like it was nothing. She's just in total shock. I mean, who wouldn't be? She starts pleading with him, trying to remind him of how good it was at the start, of the promises they made. She's just scrambling, grabbing for anything, any sliver of hope that they could save this. But it was no use. Callum was just done. Her tears, her begging, their entire history, it didn't matter. He was cold, and his response was so final, so absolute, there was no going back. Divorce. One word, and it was all over. And the crazy part, Callum signed the papers like it was no big deal, like he was signing for a package. And just like that, Melissa had to walk away from her home, her marriage, feeling like an absolute failure. But here's the thing about hitting rock bottom. Sometimes it's not the end. Sometimes it's the start of something new. After all that heartbreak, Melissa's story is about to take a turn you might not expect. Right after everything fell apart, Melissa was just adrift. This wasn't just a breakup. It felt like her whole identity had been erased. She felt empty, completely lost, and was just drowning in self-blame. And then someone new walked into her life. Josh. And the love he showed her was just a completely different language. It wasn't some grand, sweeping fairy tale. It was quiet. It was kind. He was gentle, and he actually asked about her dreams. He never judged her for her past. He just loved her. So you see the difference, right? That suffocating life of silence with Callum was replaced by this feeling of safety, of being truly cared for with Josh. The broken promise of that first marriage, it finally made way for a real chance to just be happy. And that's where we find Melissa today. She's 38 now, and her life is so different. That old pain doesn't own her anymore. Instead, she's found this real, solid happiness with Josh, the person who showed her what it actually feels like to be loved. And it kind of leaves you with this big question, doesn't it? Melissa thought her life was over when her marriage ended, but it turned out that was the exact thing that needed to happen for her to find something real and authentic. So it makes you think, could our biggest heartbreaks actually be the beginning of our truest stories?